Welcome to the Utah Puck Report. I'm your host, Jay Stevens. Quick shout out to our sponsors, Larry H. Miller Toyota in Murray. I'll tell you what, I got in the car wash today and I was washing my car, and two brand new Land Cruisers got behind me in line. And I was like, maybe today's the day I go to Larry H. Miller in Murray and find myself a new Toyota. If it's something you're looking for, you can find them right there in Murray, or you can find them on LarryHMillerToyota.com. Today, very special guest, Shaeffer Gordon-Carroll, a Utah-born, a Salt Lake-born, a former Utah Junior Grizzly player who just won the championship of the WHL, and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. So first off, Shaeffer, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Man, there are going to be so many people with so many questions because now, we've had players, Mason Manick and Trevor Lewis, who have played major juniors before, but you're the most recent to do it. So everybody's going to want to know what path you took. How did you get to where you were? So can you start first? Tell us, I mean, you're growing up in Salt Lake. How did you find out about hockey? How did you get into it?
Yeah, well, I got a pretty bumpy path. So, yeah, my dad grew up wanting to be a hockey player. Never got to be. So, told my mom that firstborn son's gonna be a hockey player. So, dad got me into hockey, and I've stuck with it since I was 5. So,
Wow. So you started when you're 5, like Salt Lake County Rec League? Is that what you started at?
yeah, I started at Provo Peaks, just started doing skating lessons, and then went up to Polar Bears. And yeah, then Polar Bears to Outliers. I think it's a USPHL team now, but they had
Yep.
a younger group, and that's where I played first. And then I played at Junior Grizz 2 years, um, and then realized that hockey in Utah wasn't good enough to make it where I wanted to. So me and my dad drove from Salt Lake to Denver, Colorado every weekend, 7 hour drive just to
Jeez.
practice and skate with the Thunderbirds.
Wow. So did you end up playing with the Thunderbirds?
Yep, I played for the Thunderbirds for a year, and then after that, decided that yet again wasn't where I should be and where I wanted to be to get to the next level. So me and my dad got an apartment in Chicago, well, hour south from Chicago, but yeah, me and my dad stayed in Chicago for a bit for a year, and then realized this is the place where I'm gonna stay and play my AAA hockey. So moved the whole family out, and we lived in Chicago for 4 years.
Wow. That is the ultimate, like that's a huge sacrifice for your family to do that. And it's awesome that they had the ability to do that for you. So then you're with Chicago Mission, I take it. It's one
Yeah,
of the
Chicago Mission. Yep.
yeah, one of the best teams. And before we jump onto Chicago, let's talk about who you played for here, like coaches that stood out, and kind of what helped you develop and what helped you realize you wanted to be a hockey player further than what Utah could do.
Yeah. So crazy coincidence. Greg Lieb was one of my coaches for the Grizz. Played for Spokane Chiefs. First WHL arena I went to was the Spokane Chiefs, and yeah, went in. It was a crazy turnaround. Went in that championship in Spokane, and Spokane Arena was the first arena I went to in the WHL. Yeah, there's a picture of me. I think I was like 7 or 8. And then now I'm 16, just won a championship there. But yeah, Greg Lieb stood out. He was the one that introduced me to the WHL when I was little. Me and my dad. And then Greg Anderson. I think it's Greg Anderson. No, not Greg Anderson. His last name's Anderson. Sorry, I forgot his first name.
That's
But
okay.
yeah, that year I was playing with those sixes, so they're 2 years older than me. And that's where I learned how to play with the older boys and players that are bigger than me. And he taught me a lot and how I play my 200-foot game now.
Nice. Greg Lieb's a good friend of mine. He's been on the show a lot of times, and I ran a hockey camp here for 20 years. And the first thing that I would always do is try to find the best skating coach I could find, the best skills coach, and that was always Greg. Like he's just such a good resource to have here. And I think you're kind of one of the first products of somebody that was able to grow up and take advantage of the fact that we had Greg Lieb here. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
All right. So you have those coaches. At some point, I think you played with Jansen Eisenstadt too, right? Or was he coaching you?
Yeah, both the Eisenstadt boys, Jake and Janny. Yeah, there's actually a picture of me FaceTime them after we won the championship. Uh, I called them right after because they weren't able to make it, but I called them right after and made sure that they're part of it. So,
Nice. I actually coached Jansen a long time ago. That's how I got your number and reached out to you.
oh yeah.
So while you're in Chicago, like you're playing U12s, U14s, and you start winning championships at all of these levels, right?
Yeah. So first year in Chicago, we weren't the best. And then it all started off the year after when we recruited some players and won state, which us and Windy City Storm, which is the other team in Chicago, were the two best teams in the country. So state was really a national championship. So starting off from there, that's when I won my first championship. And then U14, we made it to nationals, made it to the championship again, but we lost 2-1. That's when that one stung a lot. So after that, I've just been on a roll. So
Yeah, pretty lucky.
yeah.
And not just luck, a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication goes into that. You win that championship the year after you lose one in the championships. Do you remember who you beat in the championships?
Yeah, so we lost to Bishop Kearney. And then nationals last year we won. We beat Long Island Goals in the final and beat Shattuck in the semifinal.
I thought it was Shattuck that you beat in the championship. I didn't know it was in the
Yeah, we beat them in the
semis.
semifinal. Yeah,
So then you get
kicked them
drafted to
out.
the Dub, right? You get
Yeah.
uh tell me about that experience. Were you expecting it?
Yeah. So at the U14 Nationals, I didn't know that I was able to play in the WHL. I was thinking OHL because I lived in Chicago, right? But one of the scouts from Medicine Hat came up and found my dad and talked to him a little bit. And I've got a buddy from that mission team playing for Kelowna Rockets, another team in the Dub. And my dad and his dad started talking about it, and the draft was coming up. So, there's two drafts. There's the U.S. priority draft, and then there's the normal Canadian draft. Me and my buddy got drafted in the U.S. priority draft. He went 7, I went 9 to Medicine Hat. He went to Kelowna. I had no idea I was getting drafted to Medicine Hat, but yeah, it was fun.
So did you think you were going to get drafted? Were you, and you can say this on my show, were you kind of hoping it
Yeah,
was to Spokane or no?
yeah. So I was talking to Portland. I think they had the 17th pick.
Oh.
Yeah, I wanted to go to Portland. It's in the U.S. It's close to home. But yeah, I didn't talk to MedHat, but MedHat decided to draft me at 9, and Portland got out of luck. So
Yeah, that would have been cool because Portland obviously has some recent history with Utah players with Mason Manick playing there. He was a huge success there.
yep.
And then tell us about some of the other guys that are on the team. I mean, you're 16 years old. There are players on that team that have already been drafted. Um, Obviously one from Utah, and that's kind of a big deal. And so tell us some of the guys on the team that you get to play with, why they're a big deal, and what you're learning from these guys.
Yeah, so I think my team has 8 draft picks. Yeah, like you said, one to Utah. His name's Vedi Väisänen. Me and him are really good buddies. He's from Finland. I drive him to
Does
the
he
rink.
always wear a bow tie? Is that how he dresses all the time?
No, no. Well, he does like bow ties more than ties. I'll tell you that. But yeah, I drive him home from the rink every day. We get our food. And then there's another Finnish player playing here, another defenseman, just like Vedi, drafted Dallas. And then like you got Caden Lindstrom, 4th overall pick. Got back playing the final playoffs. Great player. I'm learning a lot. I'm asking them like I wouldn't say like how to score or how to make plays. I'm just looking at their specs and their sticks and trying their stuff out and asking them what works. And for centerman, like Caden is, I asked him like what's the best curve for a center. He said a max blade, so I switched to max blade. It's a little thicker on draws. So yeah, they're
That's so I was an equipment rep for a long time, and that's one of the things that I think a lot of up and coming players. We don't hear about it a lot, but what goes on behind the scenes is guys are like, okay, as I'm getting older and I've got to kind of fine tune my tools, and you can't afford to do that in a lot of places. But if you're playing for a team that's, supplying some equipment and the other guys get a chance to use, if a guy sees you doing something well, is like, hey, are you pulling pucks off the boards in the corners easier because you have a square toe, or, you know,
Yeah, like I like they CCM was the rep this year. We're switching to Bauer next year, but yeah, CCM, they let us try different curves, sticks, specs that comes out before it usually comes out in shops like Pure Hockey and other shops. But the max blade is what I use. I use a P90 TM. So it's
nice.
my
Does
favorite
that
curve. So
does that mess with you though when you go from one sponsor to another sponsor, or can you pretty much get what you want?
it messes you with a little bit, but like I've been using CCM since I can remember. But I'm gonna try to stick with CCM, but we'll see what happens.
Okay. So talk to us a little bit about how this season progressed. This is your first full season in the dub, right?
Yeah.
So from the beginning of the year till the end of the year, did your role change at all? Did your confidence change?
Yeah. So yeah, pretty bumpy year this year. Lots of trades, lots of ups and downs in the lineup. Beginning of the year we had uh lots of players. So my first role is going to be play every other game. Me and my other rookies, the 08s, the Rucks. They're my buddies. We would switch off, but didn't get off to a great start. So we traded some players and got many. Our goalie who just signed with Tampa today, which is pretty
Oh, wow.
sweet. Trade for him, and then role after that was just try to earn my ice time from the coaching staff. So trying to get up and down the lineup, trying to stay second line, third line. In November, I was playing with Basha, who's drafted to Calgary, and then playing with Ward, who's a 20. We were playing first line minutes. It was awesome. And then I had a surgery. I had two hernias. So came back down to Utah, got those done during Christmas, and then after that, my role was to play with the Rucks, which is the 08 line. We call ourselves the kids. Yeah, our role was to not get scored on, and if we score, it's just a plus. So it got to do whatever it takes to win, and that's what me and the Rucks' roles with us there.
Yeah, it shows you played 55 games though. So for being 16 and being your first year in the dub, seems like you got into the majority of the games. And I think that's one of the things that, as the Utah fan base starts to grow, a lot of people don't understand that, not all lines are expected to score, and
Mhm.
some lines have different roles. So you're a center. Were you playing
Yeah,
center all year?
yeah. I've been playing center all year.
Okay. And then were you bouncing? You said you got first line minutes. Where did you
Yeah,
finish up
so
in the championship?
I've been like I played first line this year. I played second line, and I played fourth line. So
Wow.
I'm versatile. Played like I said, played with drafted players to playing with rookies just like me with the Rucks. The playoffs, I played fourth line, like whatever it takes to win. Me and the Rucks, and we did really well actually.
What did they
Just
tell you to do? What does your coaching staff tell you to do as a fourth line center? Just hit everybody, don't turn over the
yeah,
puck?
yeah, fourth line center. You know, you got to be 200 foot. You got to be you got to be hard. You got to be physical. You got to be hard to play against. You got to win draws. You got to. There's lots of responsibility, but it's fun and it worked out. So
Yeah, I guess it worked out.
yeah.
What's your favorite role as a center? Where do you want to be? What do you think your specialties are?
Mhm. Like yeah, like I said, 200 foot. Really good in the D zone. Really good, like in the O zone. I was a plus 24 this year, which is one
Wow.
thing I focused on was
Yeah.
to not get scored on. And like I said, if I score, it's a plus. So yeah, I'm really good in the D zone. I feel like I'm a playmaker, not much of a shooter, which is one thing I'm going to try to work on this summer is learn how to score. But I feel like my passing and hockey IQ was really good. So
Where do you spend the summer? Where are you going to be working out this summer?
yeah, I'll be in Utah. I'm not sure what I'll be doing yet. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, obviously Greg's going to have a camp. I know Ryan
Mhm.
Canaswich does some stuff, but now with the Utah Hockey Club here, and tell me, like, that's got to change a lot for you because there are going to be NHL players here practicing, and a guy like you could step onto the ice with those guys and learn. You could go, we know Clayton Keller is going to be here for a while, so you could learn to score from Clayton Keller, and
Yeah.
that's different from when you left, right? Does
Mhm.
that change your excitement about coming home?
Oh, so much. Like last summer, I spent my time in Chicago. I worked out with GVN and did some skills with the steel. But the Utah Hockey Club makes it so much better because there's hockey now in Utah, and it's not just double A hockey. It's pro hockey. There's pro skills coaches in Utah now. It it I'm happy I get to spend my training session in Utah this summer. So.
Yeah, how much of your family still lives here? Because I heard your family also moved to Medicine Hat. Is that true?
No, so my grandparents moved up here with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but all my family is living in Utah. They're living in Midway. So
Oh, nice. That's still a little bit of a jaunt. You better. I guess you're hoping everybody's in Park City
yeah,
for
I
training.
don't. I mean, getting my license this year, my parents don't really care how much I drive. So
Oh, nice. That's gonna be fun. Tell us a little story about the playoffs. What was that like? Were you guys favored as you were entering the playoffs?
yeah, so I mean, I'll go back to the very beginning of the season. We were ranked number one in the CHL power rankings before we even got to play a game. Like I said, we didn't get off to a good start, but we have resiliency, so we came back, and then in playoffs we were the second seed in playoffs, so which is really big. Got to play Swift, really tough team, big, heavy, hard hitting, bang. They bang bodies. They're hard to play against. You didn't know what like I didn't know what to expect being a rookie. So I asked all of our older boys like what should I expect? They said it's just going to be faster. It's going to be more physical, and you gotta be you gotta be careful on the plays you make. You can't be careless.
Yeah, is that something you noticed right away though on your first shift? You're like, oh man, during the
Yeah,
season, this guy wouldn't have hit me. He wouldn't have finished that check,
yeah,
but now everybody's finishing every check.
yep. And then there's scrums, just like you see it now. There's scrums every like in NHL playoffs. There's scrums after every whistle. Everyone's getting a punch to the face and falling down. It's just a lot heavier. So
A lot more fun though too, a little more intense. Like you just quite a rush. I'm guess I've never played in the
yeah,
WHL playoffs, so
oh yeah, the adrenaline and the packed barns and sold out crowds is amazing.
when did you think you really had a shot at winning it all?
Oh, well, from the beginning of the year, like I said, like that's the main goal every year is to win a championship. But I feel like we had a US road trip in February, and that's when we really turned it on. We got I think it was 15 points out of 16 points. Only lost in overtime, and then ever since then, and before that, we traded to get Molendijk, first rounder to Nashville, and Voltovsky. He was our third line center, which he plays a great role. And I think we were like 36, 3-2 after getting them in the second half, which
Oh
is,
wow.
yeah, which is really big. And
Yeah.
we went on some win streaks. And like I said, we're a very resilient team, and it worked out for us.
It's amazing to go 36-3-2 and still end up with a second seed entering the playoffs. It just shows you
Yeah,
how good some of
yeah,
those other teams are,
yeah.
right?
Ever was the only team ahead of us. So.
Oh wow. So tell me a little bit about what your outlook is now. Utah has an NHL team. You're draft eligible in 2 years. Are you, is that the dream or are you a Chicago kid now? Like,
No, Utah. I love Utah. Utah's my home. It'd be a dream to get drafted to Utah. With the new team. But just getting drafted in general is what the dream is.
yeah, and you know that you see it around you. You can see
Mhm.
guys that are first round draft picks. Now you see the work that they're putting in. Does that set the bar for you now? Like now I have a realistic expectation of what to do, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna do
like
it.
what? Yeah, exactly. Like watching Gav McKenna, like the work he puts in, and and Molly and Lindy and all the draft picks on my team, they like you gotta everyone who is a draft pick has skill, but there's no there's not get you're not gonna get drafted with just skill. You gotta put the work in and you gotta hit the gym every day. You gotta shoot 100 pucks, at least 100 pucks every day. You gotta skate. Just all the extra stuff is what you gotta do.
What's it like being around that Gavin McKenna? Is it like there's so much hype around him right now? Like this,
Yeah, he's a great kid. He's humble. He's he's I don't know I don't know how to explain it. He's one of my buddies. He doesn't think he's bigger than everyone else. He's down to earth. Um,
oh,
and like this year, he was just focused on winning a championship. Wasn't focused on like you saw his point streak. I think he was like almost 60 games. He had I'm not sure what it was, but he set the record in CHL. But he wasn't even focused on it. He was just focused on winning a championship, and that came along. So
well, it's got to be something. If you can learn from him and there's other people around you, we expect to hear your name called in a couple of years. It's pretty exciting for us. Like Utah loves it now, right? Like it's not just some of us, it's everybody knows now. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show right now. As we were talking about, we're going to be able to watch the Memorial Cup playoffs. So you guys are WHL championships or champions. Now you're going to be playing for the CHL championship, the Memorial Cup. And that starts, you said you leave Wednesday, you've got a game on Thursday,
yep,
and we're going to be able to see it on NHL Network. That's pretty good for Utah. We're pretty excited about that. What do you
yeah,
think
you
about
guys, yeah, it's awesome. I mean, first time been on NHL Network's pretty sick.
it?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But
They
yeah,
they
it's
they've been play they played the championship. We got to see you win the championship and raise that cup.
yep, that's what I'm hoping that you guys get to see. So
Pretty amazing. One of the questions I wanted to talk about the choice going to the dub, and now it's changed. It's changing. It's
mhm.
there's an evolution going on right now. But as an American-born kid, you're looking at, hey, I can go play major junior hockey, or I can play in the USHL and then go play college.
Yep.
Now, like, did that enter your mind, or did you know that was going to change?
Yeah, so my agent, he's awesome. I was asking him about this because I didn't like the the major junior to college route wasn't open yet,
Yeah.
and that's what I asked him about. I was like, "Do you think there's a chance major junior hockey will like CHL will be able to play NCAA?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's gonna happen. So you just got to choose where you want to go now, if that's USHL or um, CHL MedHat." And to me, MedHat was the better option, and I thought my future would be better in MedHat's hands. So
And it looks like that's what's happening because like Bill Armstrong, the GM of Utah Hockey or of the Utah Mammoth, has told me before. He's like, everybody loves a winner. If you're on a team that's winning championships, even if you're first line guy, fourth line guy, backup goalie, people are coming and looking because there's chemistry in that locker room. There's education that you can't get from anywhere but playoffs and winning championships. So looks like you're doing the right thing. You made the right choice. Are you looking at college?
yeah, I mean, it's always been back in my head. I've always loved like the Golden Helmets at Notre Dame and
Oh,
going to Yost Arena and watching games in Michigan and just growing up, it was college hockey for me. But coming to MedHat, I love the WHL. But if college comes around the corner, I'll definitely think about it.
yeah. I mean, you can play until you're age out in the dub
Mhm.
and then still go to college, right?
Yeah, it's extra 4 years of development, but if you
Yeah.
can't make the NHL yet, so
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time. And if you had some advice to a Utah kid that's growing up right now here, like some 10-year-old or 12-year-old that's listening to this or their parents on what it takes to get to the next level, what advice would you give to a kid right now?
yeah. I mean, for me, it was you gotta the work ethic part. You gotta give up time without hanging out with like stuff like you can't hang out with your friends because you're going to the rink and doing skating lessons, or you can't be like there's some days I couldn't go to school because I had practice in Colorado. It's you gotta give up something that's meaningful to be a great hockey player. And yet you still have to have the work ethic and put in the effort.
Yeah, I agree. It's sad because it's different than most sports. Most sports you can, practice an hour a day
Yep.
and do whatever else you want. But hockey takes a little more dedication, especially to make it to those next levels because that's what everybody else is doing. They're on the ice every day. They're shooting pucks like you're talking about every day. They're stick handling. They've got their little tools in their basement or whatever, and
Mhm.
they're working. And you got to hit the gym and you got to have good grades.
Exactly. Just gotta stay consistent. Just gotta stay consistent.
Yeah, that's a lot. It takes a lot of discipline.
Yep.
Well, my friend Shaeffer, I'm excited for you. I can't wait to watch these games. It's fun to have another Utah player doing something huge. And man, please tell us you'll check back in with us after the championships and let us know how that went. We'll wait for you to come back to Utah. You can come in the studio and
Yep.
sit down. We'll have a big chat and talk about all of it.
Awesome. Sounds good.
All right. That is unless you want do you have anything else you want to say before I let you go?
I mean, just kids playing hockey, just have fun. You gotta love it. You gotta play. You gotta hang out with your buddies. Grow. You can't waste being a kid. So have fun.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You got to find balance. But for me, and sometimes they think fun is a bad word. But if you're having fun and you have the passion, then making those sacrifices and going to practice every day isn't a task. It's fun. You
Exactly.
want to be there. You're not looking
Yep.
at the clock going like, oh, when does this practice end? You're just excited to be there, and that's what you look forward to every day.
Yep. Yeah. There's some days that are tougher than the others, but there's always a prize in the work that you put in. So
Well, I love that. That's awesome. All right, Shaeffer Gordon-Carroll from Medicine Hat. I love it. And that is the Utah Puck Report.